Hi guys, I'm Tim Patrick. I'm Global Head of Solutions at Blue Wireless. And for the next 8 to 12 hours, I'm going to be talking to you about the role of digital connectivity, uh, of, connect, of connectivity and digital transformation. Obviously, I'm joking. I'm going to be talking for about 10 minutes, but that's not to diminish the magnitude of the topic, right? Connectivity is a huge topic in digital transformation. It really underpins everything we're trying to achieve. Blue Wireless, as a company, delivers wireless connectivity. The clue's in the name. We have about 7,000 services live globally across both fixed wireless access, so cellular-based and low Earth orbit satellite connectivity services, mostly to multinational enterprises. This QR code does take you to our LinkedIn, lovingly provided by marketing. There is one on the last slide, so if you haven't got it, that's absolutely fine. So what does connectivity look like at the moment? Companies have been moving towards an internet-based, internet-first landscape for quite a while. But even then, SD-WAN and SASE, they're not the new buzzwords they were just a few years ago. And with that instead, the internet-only, everything on cheapest chips broadband connectivity solutions hasn't really materialized. Most companies are still running some kind of MPLS network in their connectivity mix. What you will find, however, is if you look up internet-based networks and MPLS-based networks in a stock image generator, they do look quite similar. So why haven't businesses got rid of their MPLS? Well, the reality is MPLS is still the best tool in the toolkit for some applications. And that's really a key message what I want to get across today. The connectivity mix is not about a one-size-fits-all conversation. It's about having the right tools in your tool belt for the solution at hand. So a lot of enterprise connectivity at the moment still looks like a combination of internet and MPLS circuits, as it probably should be. MPLS is not going anywhere and will stay where it is for a long time. So why are we thinking about it then? It sounds like it's all established, it sounds like it's going well. Well, we're all here at the Digital Transformation Expo. The relentless march to the cloud is continuing. Whether it's Office 365, whether it's Salesforce.com, or the emergency Uber you need to call the CTO when he got too excited at the Christmas party. It's all in the cloud. So things like local breakout, good peering to cloud services is super critical for peak business application performance. And that's before we get started on AI traffic. Nokia predicts that AI-specific traffic is going to grow at about 24% a year until 2033. It's going to have a huge impact on our connectivity requirements. I'm not going to talk to you much about AI because, to be honest, I know how networks work. I don't really know how AI works, so I'm going to move on. So how important really is it? Right, we talk about the fancy new applications we want to use, we talk about AI, but how important is connectivity? Connectivity underpins what we do with those applications. Connectivity can be thought of as a utility next to power. It's as important as water for some sites. And most importantly, it's almost even as important as a constant supply of Yorkshire tea. Now, not everyone might agree with me on that last point, but what is true is that connectivity is absolutely essential for most site operations. So what should you be thinking about as users and as designing your networks to get to the right connectivity mix for your digital transformation? Firstly, always tie it to what's your business purpose? What is your business trying to achieve? Is it that you want to ship more boxes out of your distribution center? Is that the enablement of your digital transformation? Is it that you want to be able to see data more clearly? What's the actual fundamental reason you're driving digital transformation? And secondly, what do my users need from the network to actually fulfill that purpose? What does my network need to be able to handle so that my network isn't the bottleneck for that digital transformation? And lastly, and I'm going to ask this question a few times, what happens when we fail? Right, so if we don't deliver on our connectivity, what's the impact? Do our apps fall over? Do our customers not get services delivered? Do we lose revenue? Because if we don't understand what happens when we fail, we can't really understand how important it is to make it work. So to hammer home that point, is it really that fundamental? Surely 98%, 99% uptime is enough for most use cases. When we look at connectivity in the world of digital transformation, connectivity is really the fuel. It's the fuel for your digital transformation. It's the boring bit underneath. It's the coal for the steam engines of the 1800s. It's the road maintenance for a logistics company. It's the snacks for your 2-year-old on a 5-hour car journey. It's too often taken for granted. It's too often a thing we rely on that's always going to be there, but we really know about it when it breaks. So how bad can it be? It can't be that big of a deal, right? Things go down, we move on. But that's not always the case, right? Far too often, as Blue Wireless, we only see IT managers and business continuity specialists once everything's broken. Once they've spent 2 hours explaining to a board why the factory can't produce anything because the fiber's been cut. Why that diverse fiber wasn't quite as diverse as we thought it was because there's a telegraph pole 3 miles down the road that got hit by the lorry. And it's always the one that it shares that gets hit by the lorry, just so you know. And if we don't know the impact, the real impact of the loss of connectivity, then critically you don't understand how much time, how much effort, or crucially how much money to put into making sure that that site never goes down. And it's not going to be the same answer for every site or every use case. Some sites, to be honest, can go down for a day and the impact's not that big. But we need to understand what that landscape looks like. For many enterprises, as some of you here will know, the business impact of an hour of downtime can be measured in millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, not thousands. So that's why understanding your landscape is so important. But don't worry, it's going to be fine. I hope. So the reality is, designing your connectivity doesn't need to be that complicated. It just needs a little bit of thought and a dash of common sense, and you'll have a network that's robust and fit for purpose. So what should we be thinking about? What are the questions we need to ask ourselves? Firstly, I recommend we assess the impact at the site level. So which of my sites are important? Which of my sites do I know can't go down? What are they doing at those sites? Are they production sites? Are they office sites? For a lot of our customers, for example, their production sites connectivity is far more important than HQ, because HQ can all work from home. So that's their continuity plan. And secondly, we need to assess the impact at the use case level. So what actually are the critical things happening at that site? For example, if we're looking at a production site, do we actually need HD Teams videos calls in the back office when we're in a moment of crisis? Or do what we really need is the hand scanners on the distribution floor to work so that boxes can go out of the door? And once you have the answers to both those questions, so what sites are super important and what the most important things at those sites are, what really needs to keep running, actually defining the connectivity solution you need is quite easy because it flows down from that requirement. All too often, we see IT managers scrambling to design the connectivity solution based on SD-WAN requirements, based on SASE requirements, rather than the use case. So if you remember nothing else, remember this. It's really not that complicated. Don't overcomplicate it. Connectivity is not something that needs to be difficult for you to manage. It just requires a little bit of thought up front and planning in the early stages of your connectivity. Because let's be honest, as IT managers, we never get stick when it's working well. We don't get praise when it's working well. But if the snacks run out, you're really going to know about it halfway through that car journey. Understand the needs and your use cases. Okay, so it's super important that we understand what we're trying to achieve, how we're trying to achieve it, and what's going on those locations. Okay? And I can't stress that enough. Once you understand the use case and the bandwidth requirements of that use case, you can start making sensible trade-offs, and a cost-effective network is there to be delivered. Because ultimately, what we need to do is deliver an always-on, guaranteed reliability inside our network, but only for the things that need to be on. And when it needs to be on, that's how we keep it cost-effective. And lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention finding reliable partners. Now, of course, I'm quite biased as to who those reliable partners should be. The market is full, of course. At Blue Wireless, we specialize in providing wireless connectivity over cellular, so that's 4G, 5G, LTE, and also LEO satellite, which is our Starlink-based offering. The benefit of wireless connectivity, when we're looking at diversity and resiliency, of course, is it's truly physically redundant from fixed lines. I'm sure many of you in the room will have had the scenario where you buy 2 diverse fibers and nothing really works because downstream somewhere they share a POP and a POP maintenance goes down. We didn't know about it in the planning phase. What you get with wireless connectivity is a guarantee because it's technologically divergent. You can't share a duct if the duct is the sky, basically, is the logic. So we do build that kind of resiliency into your service. But wireless technology is not perfect. It would be crazy for me to suggest that wireless technology is the answer to all of your problems. It is stable and reliable enough to act as a primary circuit in many scenarios, but in practice, fiber's not going anywhere. Fiber should probably be your primary circuit on most locations. But because of that physical redundancy, wireless can provide you a continuity level that you just can't guarantee with fixed services. Now, I'd love to understand some more of your connectivity needs. I'd love to understand your problems, talk about solutions. That's what I get excited about. I'll be here for a little bit, and afterwards I'll be at the booth 111. We're just around the corner. You can come and poke some Starlink dishes as well, and talk to me about SIM cards until the cows come home. We'll be at booth 111. Please bring tea. Thanks very much.